everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the 2020 Mazda CX-5 in the Grand Touring Reserve package, also known as the GTR. That's something that I found out today that I did not know. But as always, we're going to do a quick walk around on the CX-5, then we're going to take it out to see how it drives. A huge shout out and thank you to Mazda here in Southtown for providing us with this CX-5. Definitely check out their inventory in the link below. And what's really cool is their building is finally finished, and it is just, it's a beautiful building. Let's get into the video. Under the hood here of the 2020 Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring Reserve, we have a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that goes to a 6-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 22 around town and then 27 on the highway, with power outputs being 227 horsepower and then 310 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the CX-5 Grand Touring Reserve. So looking at the hood first and foremost, just a gigantic flat hood, but you do get these two nice little lines that pop on either side. And sorry, the lights just popped off. Hopefully you guys got to see those for a second, though they are full LED lights with LED accent lights right next to them. And then you have Mazda's signature grille with the Mazda logo right there in the center of it. And you can see the fog lights just right down that little area. They are pretty small, but I love this styling on the CX-5. They released this for the 2017 model year, and it still looks modern and really good and aggressive today. Now let's go over the tire and rim setup here on the CX-5. So we've got these 225mm tires on 19-inch rims, and I love the design of the rims in general. It goes really well with kind of what this car is going for, with a more like luxury based look. And then you do get these plastic fenders that go all along the rims, and it goes all along the body of the CX-5. The mirrors are body colored as well, but let's just take a step back so you guys can see a full view and a side view of the CX-5. Here is our key fob for the CX-5, and sorry if it's hard for you guys to see the little buttons because they are pretty small, but we do have a couple controls here. We've got the unlock function, you've got the lock at the top. This opens up the rear hatch, and then this sounds the alarm on it. Now the rest of the key fob is just empty space. You do get the Mazda logo there, which is a nice little touch, but if we hold down this function right here, this will actually open up the rear hatch of the CX-5. Now we are going to pop into the back here. We can see that there's a ton of cargo space here in the rear. And then another cool function is, well, not function, but you got this nice leather strap. Picked it up. This is where the spare tire is going to be underneath. And then if you do want to fold these seats down, all you have to do is just pull this little lever right there, and then boom, the seat pops back down, and then you can see you get even more storage. You do have to put the seat manually back up, but at least you've got that little function to throw it down. When you are done with everything in the rear, there is a button up here. All you have to do is just press that little button, and then it'll lower down the rear hatch, and, well, you're good to go. Now let's go over things in the back of the CX-5, starting with the lighting cluster back here. So we do have these LED lights, which I've always loved these, and they've kind of put these on to the other Mazda. As you can see over here, there's a CX-30, and it kind of mimics what the CX-5 has in terms of a taillight assembly. You've got all your regular badging in the back, and then you do get a dual outlet exhaust on this turbo model, which is pretty cool, and you can see it. Those CX-30s also have the dual outlet exhaust, which just makes the car look a little bit sportier. But in the rear end in general, it's kind of like this nice rounded off look, as you can all see, and that's everything for the back. Opening up the rear of the CX-5, we have a couple things here in the rear that I want to go over. First and foremost, with the door panel, I love everything about it. So you got this soft touch up top with the stitching just down below, and you have this nice wood trim down below that, and you got some metallic trim as well. The leather down here is softer than what's up the top here, and you can see the stitching is a different color there at the bottom. Then you have some piano black trim. Now here are the seats in the CX-5 for the rear, and this is the stitching that kind of matches what is on the door, just as a reference point. Now we are going to pop in, so actually stepping back here, it's really comfortable in the rear. So legroom, you can see I've got a good amount right there, and I get a little pocket in the back. Now if you're wondering, I'm about 5'11", and in terms of headroom, I actually have a few inches above me, so someone that is taller than me could fit back here pretty comfortably. Now we do finally get a little cup holder area, so all you have to do is just press or pull that down, sorry, and you have a couple cup holders. You have some more controls in here. You've got heated seats on both sides, and then we do have some extra storage underneath with a couple USB ports. So yeah, pretty loaded up in the rear. Now let's go over things on the side here. We do have keyless entry, so one touch to lock it, and notice that the mirror did fold in, and then if I press it again, it'll unlock and the mirror will fold back out. By the way, we do get blind spot monitoring here on the mirror. Now opening up the door here for the front, the door panel is identical to what's in the rear, so you get the same soft touch up here, you get the same contrasted wood with the metallic trim, leather, stitching, all of that is the same. And then down here, we do get the controls for the windows with that black trim, then the mirror adjustments, all that, nothing too crazy going on there. Now, here are these seats in the front, and again, the stitching is the same color stitching as what's on this little bottom part of the door, but they've got this softer leather on them. We do get memory seat functions on it, and then you've got all the power adjustments there on the side. Pedal layout is just down below, and then we have our controls for like the gas release or for the gas cap, and then you got your release for the hood. This is for the tailgate, so if you want it to open from the inside, you just press that little button right here. This is actually for the off-road, which is pretty cool. And then we have the lane departure assistance. Now finally, the steering wheel is manually adjustable, and here is one more look before we actually pop into the cabin. Now we have our little engine stop start button, and notice when I press the pedal, green light comes on, so that it lets you know that you're supposed to turn it on. But all the gauges will come to life, and the little infotainment screen will come to life as well. So yeah, here is the steering wheel. Let's actually zoom into the steering wheel. So we have our controls for the cruise control, for example. That's all in that little area. And you got the nice stitching and the softer touch leather that goes all around. Let you know there's an airbag. Phone controls over here. You've got your voice commands, all that kind of stuff. There are paddles on the back of the steering wheel if you want to shift the gears yourself with that 6-speed automatic transmission. Over here we have our controls for the lights, and then over there is the controls for the windshield wiper stalk. And the steering wheel in general, just like the feel of it, it kind of has like a sportier, smaller type feel, which I like. Now we have our center gauge cluster here. Over on the left side, we have the RPMs. On the right side, you've got your fuel gauge and temperature gauge. Now here in the center, it just looks like it's going to be a speedo, but if you press that little info button that I showed you on the steering wheel, it'll scroll through a couple different menus that'll just give you different bits of information here on the CX-5. Nothing crazy, nothing groundbreaking, but it's actually a really good looking gauge cluster in my opinion. Here's our center infotainment system. The first thing I want to show you guys is that it is a touchscreen. So as I press little functions on it, you can use it as a touchscreen, or there is a little pad down below which you can control the infotainment system via, and I'll show you guys that little control pad in a moment. But both of them function really well. It's easy to use, so you can go either or. Notice we do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, last thing I'm going to show you is popping into reverse. Do get a little backup camera with the little yellow trajectory lines. Pretty good setup, and I feel like the resolution on that is pretty good as well. But yeah, that's everything for the infotainment system. We have our whole kind of like center stack area down here. Notice that we do get the heated steering wheel control. We do get heated and ventilated seats, which I do have my ventilated seat on right now because it's kind of toasty in here. Dual zone climate in the CX-5, and then notice just down below here you've got some extra storage. Now here is the shifter for the 6-speed automatic transmission. Again, you can shift the gears yourself with that little manual mode with this shifter, or again, you can use the paddle shifters. And notice that if you hold down that plus paddle, it says off, and that's to go back into automatic mode. And then we do have our drive mode selector down here. So it's this little dial that you push the button up or down, and then it is going to pop up in this little center screen. So when I push it up, it says sport, and when I push it down, it takes it off. And that is in essence what normal mode is. Finally, here's that keypad I was telling you about, or not really a keypad, but it's a dial. So you've got like the dial for the volume, for example. You've got your navigation button, home screen, you got the music button, and then you have the back button, favorite, and then this just scrolls through the different menus on the infotainment system itself. Your parking brake, auto hold, and that's all for there. Now we do have a couple cup holders right here, and then we've got this center console with the stitching on the side. We've got a little tray for storage, and then notice that we do have a little 12 volt and a couple USBs, and then there's some thread throughs for the cables. Finally, you've got the glove box over in this area, which it does have suede on the inside, which is a nice little touch. In terms of the storage space, I feel like it's pretty solid. And then I do want to mention the nice trim above it. So notice that there's really nice trim there at the dash, and you got the stitching and then soft touch here and down here as well. So yeah, they've done a really good job with the trim. Now up top here, we have the controls for the sunroof. It is just a regular sunroof, and you can do the controls right there. Do get a sunglass holder, some lights up top, and yeah, nothing crazy. It is a lighter colored headliner. Well, here's our window sticker, which means I don't have to show my ugly face as much. And got the fuel economy there that I showed you guys earlier. And then you can see the trim package, the color, all that kind of stuff. that's not so important. Most of the stuff you can see is standard equipment on this Grand Touring. There's only 2 options on it, and one of them is not really a real option. First option is the paint color, which you can see is $300. Second option is your delivery, processing, and handling fee. Every new car has that. So there is your total MSRP on this CX-5, which, I mean, yeah, for everything this has, it's really solid. Let's take it out and see how it drives. We are setting off here in the 2020 Mazda CX-5 with the turbo, and yeah, I love this car. You guys already know that, but let's talk about a couple things with this CX-5. First off, with the ride quality, it's actually really smooth. I can definitely tell that they have taken into consideration a more like luxury based feel with this car. Obviously the interior, but then also with the ride quality, you can tell the suspension is very smooth. But more so than that, in terms of the noise that comes through into the cabin, it's actually pretty minimal. It is on the quieter side. So if I were to rate this compared to most other cars in this segment, I would say it's a little bit quieter and it's a little bit smoother than most cars that this would basically be compared against. Now I am going to be getting my acceleration here, but don't want to go too quick because there is a cop. Yeah, that turbocharged engine really changes the character of the CX-5. Now, I reviewed a CX-5 without the turbo earlier this year, and I can tell you right now, with this turbocharged engine, it is a night and day difference. If you can make it work, get the turbo CX-5. Yes, you'll get a little bit worse fuel economy, but yeah, the power is just phenomenal. I absolutely love the power delivery on it, and I feel like it's really the perfect amount of power for the CX-5. Gotta get another little acceleration here, just for your sake, guys. Yeah, I'm in the normal mode and the automatic mode, and geez, it's still like, it's quick. This is really quick. I don't know, I can't say enough good things about it, but like I said, the power delivery on it, it is right on point. So yeah, I mean, if you want a good, powerful SUV in this segment, it's solid. And I guess that'll lead me to summing things up. Now, what most people are going to compare this against is probably a Honda CR-V or a Toyota RAV4, maybe a Jeep Cherokee. Those, I guess, that kind of like size of SUV. Here's what I have to say. The Mazda definitely has a nicest interior compared to the competitors. They've just done such a good job with making this feel more upscale. The driving experience is really good. It handles well, and the acceleration is solid with this turbocharged engine. Like the CR-V and the RAV4 especially, they cannot compare to this in terms of acceleration. So I totally got distracted and took a wrong turn by accident. So now I'm trying to just kind of sum things up, a little bit boggled. But what I was trying to say is I feel like the CX-5 is really solid in terms of a value, especially compared to the CR-V and the RAV4. It just has such good power delivery. It's so much quicker compared to those. I mean, it is night and day difference. The CR-V and the RAV4 just cannot compare from an acceleration standpoint. The interior on the CX-5 is super nice. I love the exterior styling. And so just as like an all-around package, I feel like this is super solid, and it's at a really good price point. $36,000 for a loaded up one like this. I mean, yeah, it's really good. So if you are looking at SUVs in this segment, for sure give the CX-5 a look, and if you can make the turbo model fit within your budget, I would definitely recommend it, because this is actually my favorite SUV in this segment with a turbocharged engine. Now, that is going to sum things up for our video on the 2020 Mazda CX-5, and as always, thank you everyone so much for watching, and again, a huge shout out and thank you to Mazda here in Southtown for providing us with this CX-5. Again, link to their inventory is going to be in the description below. If you happen to be stopping in for the first time, please subscribe, comment down below what you think, and then I will see all of you in that next video.